are live. A little too soon. Little too soon. We are live. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. Our buddy Tye Richardson from Arkansas. ESPN Arkansas joins us at 7:30 to talk all things LSU versus the Hogs. Coming up this Saturday, prime time, 6 o'clock kick. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit on the call. Prime time, baby. Prime time. The last time that you were in prime time, not talking Dion, but the last time you were in prime time was against Florida State. Can you go out there in a massive college football week, and you made a statement last week versus Mississippi State? Can you make one this week versus Arkansas? We talk about that here tonight. Ruffino's Rants. Listen, man, I know we talked about Jane Daniels last night, but it wasn't in our normal time slot. We were doing the Saints post game. LSU Gold came out today. If you're not subscribed to it, you need to be. And just really focusing in on Jane Daniels, your LSU quarterback. We'll talk a little bit about him, some things I'm hearing about, his leadership, hearing some things coming out of that locker room that I really like. We'll touch on that a little bit tonight here. We'll do an Arkansas deep dive. Doesn't necessarily look great for the Hogs. We'll tell you the areas that it doesn't sound good, some areas that it does sound good, some things that maybe you need to stay away from, some things that you need to attack. We talk about that here tonight. Like I just mentioned, a massive weekend in college football. We'll talk some of the national games when we talk about around your SEC too. Got a big one in Notre Dame and Ohio State. A lot of people picking Auburn over A&M. I'm not on that train yet. We'll talk a little bit about that in Alabama and Ole Miss as well. So we have a lot that we need to dive into here tonight on the show. And as we do every Tuesday and Thursday, hashtag Ask Blake. Thoughts, questions, concerns, fire them inside the Rudy Crew chat. And Zach, producer Zach, is with us and kicking. Roger Dugas says, live from Lafayette, Louisiana, in the 337. Specman says he's in Louisville, not Louisville. Louisville. The locals in Louisville taught me how to say it when we were up there, went to Churchill Downs. You got to love that. So Louisville's in the house. Bro Bridge says LSU Acadiana. Father Abear, the AYS priest, says, tell us all the goodness tonight, Ruffino, in Beg Coto, Louisiana. I hope I said that right. Dale Broussard says, Greg Brooks update. Not good, man. I mean, I don't know the specifics. This is what I was told, and I'm going to really beat around the bush. You can hate me for it. You can love me for it, whatever. I do think that Brian Kelly eventually will give an update when he knows more. But guys, use the context clues. You know what I mean? Like, use some context clues. It's not great. You wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully he can get back on the field sometime soon. And look, man, you have two head coaches in the SEC wishing Greg Brooks a speedy recovery. Like Sam Pittman, I mean, if it's just an injury, like if he would have rolled his ankle, he wouldn't be saying that. So here to Greg Brooks and a speedy recovery. I'm going to let the head coach do that one. I don't think it's – and look, somebody can report on it. It's just not going to come from this platform. Now, if somebody does report it, and then we'll echo their reporting, but I'm not – no, I'm not. I don't think it's my place. It's just my opinion. All right. Couple more comments. Where are you watching us from tonight? Ivan C, says from Boston, Massachusetts. Smart Park. Hey, Ivan, do you speak with a Boston accent? Went down to the harbor, got me slice and a soda. I can't do it, Boston. I can't do it. I can't do it. Lucedale, Mississippi. Lamar Williams says Playboy Rufino was happening. Yeah, they, back then they didn't want me. Now they all want me, pressure. I'm just gonna tell you. John Sibley Butter says the ton as in Franklin Ton. Okay. I like it. Zachary says David. Pistol Thicket, Louisiana says Mark. That's a mouthful. Pressure is in Starkville. Well, you should have been there last week, Pressure, not this week. You know what I mean? Oakdale is in the building. Detroit, Michigan, says Bo Jacks. Detroit in the house. Evan says live from Canton, Ohio by way of Church Point. Rain says Rob. So we're all over the map. All over the map here tonight. Sounds good to me because we got a lot to get into. We got a whole hell of a lot we got to get into tonight. Things that I think Arkansas is really struggling in. We do a pretty big deep dive. Some of this will be a little analytical. How many times they're throwing the football, completions, yardage, how much they're giving up, how many yards are they giving up on the ground. One thing that is for sure, they're not giving up that many, but it's only been through 3 games. And we'll just do a little analytical, but we got to break this down. Some of their weaknesses, where I think LSU is going to need to attack. We'll talk about that. And Jane Daniels continues to lead a lot of things coming out of that locker room about how awesome Jaden Daniels has been doing. So we'll touch on that. And Tye Richardson in about 20 minutes. So a massive show. All right, let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all of those social media groups. Share to all of those social media pages. If you're listening to us on YouTube, guys, we're closing in on 6,000 subscribers. If you haven't done so already, 50% of you don't subscribe to the channel. Why can't you just help a brother out? Help a brother out by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Please. Need to get to 6K, man. Need to do it. So do us a favor by doing that. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. You're watching us on Fubo TV. Welcome. Let's talk about our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons, our good friends over at betonline.ag. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot to discuss. Tye Richardson, a lot of breakdown for the week in what is one of the bigger matchups of the weekend. We talked about it. Next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Not as back as LSU is, apparently, to some national media members. Like, come on, man. Come on. Got some Mississippi people in here tonight, huh? Hadley. Let me see. Jamie, Mississippi showing out, man. You got to love it. You got to love it. I know that we do. So listen, we're going to do the deep dive on Arkansas here tonight. Do I think that they have some good talent? Yeah. Are they a beat-up team? Yeah. We talked about their offensive line. They're really beat up front. We don't know if Rocket Sanders, the electric, big, bulldozing running back for Arkansas, is going to be able to go on Saturday. It's prime time Saturday night in Death Valley. One of the first home games that you get at night with a big-time opponent coming into town. Now, this game historically was played, remember when we were growing up as kids, majority of us, when we were growing up as kids, early, mid-90s, that Arkansas game was usually at the end of the year. Now it's in September. Feels weird, feels awkward. Doesn't matter of the outcome. Doesn't matter. Shouldn't matter. Has no bearing on the game. Prime time, Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe in the building. More than likely a sold-out Death Valley crowd. And the one thing I continue to hear is about the leadership of your quarterback. Now, LSU Gold did this today about the leadership of Jaden Daniels and the confidence that he's gaining in himself. Man, if that kid continues to gain that confidence and continues to be that leader that everybody knows that he can be. It wasn't easy for him. He gets a lot of ridicule, a lot of flack from this minority of this fan base. He had to sit up there after the Florida State loss in a press conference where Brian Kelly said, guys, this one's on me, but we're going to go back to the film room and we're going to work on it. You talk to anybody up there, whether it be staff, whether it be players, whether it be medical personnel, whether it be managers, whether it be trainers, whether it be the towel boy, whether it be the dude that sits there and just, smashes the Gatorade when players are coming off the field. Whatever person you talk to somebody again today, they were like, man, he has just gone and been on a different level. Let's hope that he turns that same energy he had last Saturday into this game. Because I promise you, if he does, if he continues to do what he's doing, you're not going to lose another SEC game. You're just not. The mental focus, that switch, knowing what he has to do, him and Mike Denbrock and Joe Sloan. During the game, you got Joe Sloan and Mike Denbrock in the press box, high-fiving with another because they're seeing something and they knew it would work. And Jaden hit that shot that he knew that he needed to hit on that double move to Malik Neighbors in the back of the end zone for that second tutty. Ba-da-da-da-da, go, Tigers! If that young man continues to do what he's doing, I'm telling you, you're not going to lose another game, man. You're more talented. Look, we have gone through season after season after season after season where the biggest question mark on your schedule is the team in Crimson a little out east from you in Tuscaloosa. They're down and you got to seize on it because you look at Georgia and them being down a little, what we see so far. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just, injured and banged up. Let's see what Georgia gives us going down the stretch. They're not that team you played last year. You can already tell they're not the team that you played last year through 3 games. They're not disruptive as they were defensively. It's yours for the taking. Seize it. It's like the movie with Brad Pitt. What was it, Troy? They're going into battle. They're burning their ships when they come up on the shore. And Brad Pitt's on his horse like a possessed beast. And he says, it's your moment. Seize it. If your quarterback's going to lead the way that he's doing, you can. Let's see if he can. You got to take it one game at a time. You start with Arkansas this weekend. Now, look, we're going to do this deep dive on Arkansas here for just a minute. So stay with me. Stay with me. because there'll be some numbers. We're not going to go too analytical, but we'll get in there. We'll get in there. They're not having a lot of effectiveness in their passing game. Through 3 games, Arkansas is averaging 19 completions on 26 attempts. Now, that's pretty effective. That's 72%. 219 yards. Let me stop you right there. You know what that tells me? You are not a team that wants to come in here and throw it all over the place. Because if you were, those numbers would be up. They'd be closer to the Jane Daniels, who's got 95 attempts already on the year. This team has run the ball on the dot 40 times per game through 3 games. 120 runs in 3 games. That is a lot. They don't have their best running back. Guys, they're only running for 3.8 yards per carry. What does this tell me? Offensively, you can take it, or defensively, I should say, you can take it to him. KJ's a good player. He's a good quarterback. He had a bad game against BYU. Sounds cute. Sounds fine to me. Offensively, they don't blow you out of the water. They don't have the weapons on the outside like at Florida State. Can Denver Harris be a guy that you can completely count on the outside? You're playing freshmen all over the place. You got Ryan Yates, the true freshman, coming in here making some things happen. Deshaun Womack. This game is tilted towards you going out there and imposing your will again. 26 passing attempts per game and 40 rushing attempts on the dot. They're running the ball for 40 times per game, and they have 150, let's just call it 151 yards per game on the ground. They're running the ball at 3.8 yards per carry. That's all that they want to do. They want to have time of possession. They want to run the football, keep KJ Jefferson upright, take it to their ass. They want to come in here and bully you. They want to come in here and punch you square in the mouth. You know, as the great Mike Tyson always says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Strike the first punch. I don't know. I really don't know if Arkansas can come into Death Valley and score with you at will. I just don't believe that they can. This game, however, with all of that being said, has always been close. Last year, you got a lot of players getting the flu. You got Brian Kelly in the post game saying that his best defensive player, Harold Perkins, was throwing up before the game. And he said, man, this is like Michael Jordan in the flu game. And Harold Perkins is like, who's Michael Jordan? I don't think that Harold Perkins said that, to be honest with you. But Brian Kelly did say that. Go look at the post-game press conference that he did after Arkansas. What I believe is that this game can be close early, but they're not a good enough team to come in here and beat you. If you're unable to capitalize on the things that Arkansas is struggling in, the offensive line, this needs to be a coming out party for Mason Smith. This needs to be a party where in back-to-back weeks you look up and say, hey, man, you better – I know that Harold Perkins is something. You better have a game plan for Savion Jones. You better have a game plan from the kid from St. James, from Vacherie. You better double team Mason Smith because he's starting to come into his own. Well, you can't do that because Mekhi Wingo's kicking your ass. Now, does KJ want to run? Does he want to get on the outside? Yeah. But the quarterback I saw last week doesn't want contact. He doesn't. You go turn on that BYU film, he's running out of bounds when the KJ that I knew from 2 years ago would square you up, put his shoulder down, and try to Caleb Jackson your ass. Would try to go complete Leonard Fournette in that hoe. He seemed against BYU. He didn't want that smoke. He didn't want that magic. You got to keep KJ in the pocket because I promise you, I know the question has been about your DB unit. But even if that they have been suspect through 3 games to some extent, Mississippi State, they didn't really do anything bad, but they've been suspect against Florida State in the first quarter against Grambling. Make them beat you through the air. They got a white kid named Tesla, I think is a walk-on. Elon Musk would be so proud. Make those wide receivers and the tight ends and the dudes out wide beat you, because you know what they're going to do. You know what Sam Pittman is game planning for. Now, I don't think that it's smart for him to do that because he's got an offensive line that's beat to hell, but I don't think that he has a choice. I don't think he's got a quarterback that if KJ is throwing 35, 40 times a game, it's because you're whipping their ass. It's not because it's their game plan to come in here and do that. But you know what? With the visions going away, not knowing if you're going to play Arkansas every year, let's keep that boot here. I know that you don't, as an LSU fan, maybe necessarily look at this as a massive rivalry game, but it is. It is. For the first time ever, Michael Bonnet, the SID at LSU, tweeted this, I think today or yesterday, and he sent it to us in an email. This is the first time that both of these teams have met in September. You want to talk about a springboard for LSU that can get you through those 2 hard weeks against Ole Miss and Missouri? Go out there and impose your will against Arkansas. Their O-line's beat up, man. They're beat up. Make KJ beat you from the pocket. Get after him. And you're going to have to get 11 hats to the ball. Now, we'll ask Tye Richardson in about 8 minutes or so, what's up with Rocket Sanders? You know, is he going to play? And if he is, that changes things. But as I mentioned earlier, and will continue to mention, especially if you come out of this game with a win, especially if you come out of this game with a win, the sky is yours in the SEC right now. Everybody says it's wide open. I say horse shit. From an LSU fan perspective, now I go out in the SEC and Gola, Rufino, and Joe show, yes, realistically, it is wide open. This one's yours for the taking. That Florida State loss, I continue to see people talking about it. Wipe it from your memory, because I know one thing's for sure. Sam Pittman, KJ, the kid, number 16, that returned the punt for a touchdown. I forget his name off the top of my head. Let me see if I can find it here. Satanga. Isaiah Satanga. Sounds like a good Italian dish, right? Satanga sounds like a good Italian dish. They want to come into Death Valley and get that nasty-ass taste out of their mouth. You remember those jelly beans? They always had those crazy-ass tastes, and you had to pick one out of the box. That's what they had last week when they lost to BYU and Keaton Slovis. Keaton Slovis was a 50% passer last week. Or not last week. Coming into that game. Sam Houston, who, by the way, is in the same, or used to be in the same conference as my alma mater. They only got beat by BYU 14-0. Take it to that ass. The reason why I say you got to let KJ Jefferson beat you from the pocket, here's why. Their leading receiver on the year, Andrew Armstrong, 18 catches, 197 yards. He does have 3 tutties. Here is where things become really different. Isaac Tesla has 10 catches. Luke Haas has 9 catches. Isaiah Satanga has 3 catches. Do you really know what they have in that room? Because you might be able to say the Tesla kid who looks exactly like Tye Richardson's younger brother, our next guest. But bottom line becomes there is a massive hole in that Arkansas offense. It's out wide. Now, you can combat that LSU's defensive back unit has played like hot garbage. And to some degree, before last week, I would agree with you. But there was a reason why Will Rogers couldn't get things going through the air. Yeah, he missed some passes. Everybody misses passes. But the coverage was so tight. Sanderson Farm wrapped chicken would be okay. That one sounded good, better in my head. I can't finish that sentence. Lamar Williams, Big Precious says, Blake, you know you ate all those jelly beans. You did too. You was the kid that brought them in for everybody with your rich ass. Take it to him defensively. Now, we talked about this last night, and I know we were on late. This Jaheim Thomas kid, Jaheim Thomas, the linebacker, I think he was at Cincinnati. I'll have to ask Ty this. That kid can play. He had 70 tackles a year ago for Cincinnati. He's got 30 already this year. Guys, he's already at 2.5 sacks. They have some players defensively. Like, I know that offensively they have not looked fantastic, but Chris Paul, no, not CP3. 3P, C3. Chris Paul Jr.'s got a sack. Landon Jackson, a guy that most of you will know. Landon Jackson has a pair of sacks. They're not bad defensively. They want to send pressure on you. But the one thing that we saw from a week ago, if you want to send that pressure on Jane Daniels, you might get beat. You might get beat. All right. Couple of questions before we get to Tye Richardson. Don Trail says major pause was coming out. True. Paul's Martin says we will still play Arkansas for at least next season. True, but you don't know how. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, Matt Trent from WBRZ says tell Ty, quote unquote, the hair god Richardson. I said hello. Yeah, him and Matt a year ago got together. And Ty did like a special with him. It was really good. Ty says, yes, Cincy. Kick and play. Paul Sub says, this game matters to me. I still hate the Piggies and Darren McFadden from 2007. Triple overtime, man. Triple overtime. God, that sucked. Is that the best backfield that we've seen holistically? Felix Jones, Peyton Hillis, Darren McFadden. All right, one more before we get to Ty. Our guy Stephen Fry over at Fry Construction says, ask Blake, how much do you think Whit Weeks is implemented into that backer rotation? I'd say they're going to give him some snaps, especially if Omar Spates is not 100%, which we'll find out on Thursday if he is from Brian Kelly. But we'll be in the SEC teleconference tomorrow, and we'll see that too. And we'll listen to Sam Pittman too. I don't know what time Sam Pittman goes on the top of my head, but we'll listen to that. All right, let's get to Tye Richardson. Let's talk about our good friend Tyler Alexander over at eXp Realty. Let's continue to talk about the Hogs. How do they look up front? Let's get a Rocket Sanders update. Sam Pittman said in his press conference, KJ Jefferson was a little banged up. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the game with Tye Richardson from ESPN. We do that next. But let's talk about Ty and talk about our good friend Carol Foss over at State Farm. Don't go anywhere. We continue next.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. All right. So for everyone listening to us on the podcast, Tye Richardson, ESPN. First off, how are you doing, my good friend? Second off, I love the hog hat.
Blake, thank you, man. I'm excited for this weekend. I cannot wait for Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I experienced it twice before, once at Alex Box, once just for a summer weekend, and first time ever in Tiger Stadium. I can't wait to see where the dreams go to die Saturday night.
So this is your first time at night in Death Valley.
Oh, yeah, man. First time. It wouldn't happen any other way, even though Arkansas has a better chance that this was an 11 a.m. game. But I kind of like how it sets up. I mean, LSU just clowned Mississippi State. I told you I thought that would happen this summer. Arkansas didn't think they'd lose to BYU. LSU's probably looking at this game like we're going to steamroll these guys. Got the Magnolia Bowl in Oxford next week. I kind of like how it plays out, honestly.
Ty, this game historically is close. Like last year, last year was kind of an anomaly because KJ was out and you had the flu game with LSU. This game is historically close. But one thing that I gotta look, I listened to the Sam Pittman interview, and man, I did not realize this O-line was this beat up. Can you give us some updates about the Hogs O-line?
Yeah, absolutely. Blake, they had a couple different things happen this past Saturday. Both their tackles went down at different points in the game. They had to shuffle a couple different guys. They've had 3 hand injuries on the line of scrimmage. Guys are in cast or dealing with that. So it's just been brutal. And this is not a Joe Moore 2019 LSU offensive line that you'll have to face on Saturday. This is an offensive line that people were excited about, but it just hasn't translated like Sam Pittman and Cody Kennedy thought it would. So
shout out Southeastern.
Yeah. So with what they have again heading inside, they're going to play with some more pride. But I mean, pride's one thing. When you go up against an All-American like Harold Perkins and 2 other guys, and Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo, I know Mason's trying to kind of get back in the fold after being suspended that first game. It's just a tall task ahead of them. That's putting it lightly.
Ty, what do you think that they try to do different? If they have injuries, is there something that they can do differently? I mean, look, they run the ball 40 times a game on the dot. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they continue to try to do that? And what do you think that they can do to try to help out KJ?
So they'll keep an extra guy in blocking. They'll roll the pocket. I mean, Sam Pittman talked about a variety of these things on Monday's press conference. So I think they'll do various different things to just try and make it confusing on LSU. And I think there's some guys that you got to get involved. You mentioned Isaiah Satania. He has really not been involved necessarily in the passing game or on jet sweeps or anything. It's been more special teams. He's the best player in terms of spurtability on that football team, not all around wide receiver. That probably goes to either Armstrong or Tesla. But you got to have some game-breaking speed. I know that LSU secondary has been an issue this year, and I feel bad for Greg Brooks, of course, who's going through that medical emergency. But right. to just be real for a sec, I mean, the secondary was already a problem for LSU. If he's out as well, I just wonder the back end, if they do have time, if they give KJ time, then maybe he's able to make some big plays with kind of a weakened secondary for the Tigers.
Ty, I swear to God, if I'm Arkansas, first play from scrimmage, I'm getting Satania on the outside and if I'm KJ, I say run. I would take a crow hop and throw it as far as I could because there's not a lot of people in the country that can keep up with him.
Yeah, he's a fast guy. He was a track star in high school. He's got
10-100, wasn't it? Like 10-100.
Pretty insane. He's got that lineage in his blood. I don't know the exact number that you referenced, but that sounds right. So for Isaiah, we heard Sam Pittman talk about trying to get him involved yesterday, and I think it's going to happen. I think it's not just because fans want to see it. I think the coaching staff realizes we haven't had any explosive plays for the most part, and we've got to change that. And he seems to be a guy that has that capability. It's one thing to do it in practice. It's another thing to do it in game, particularly on offense. For our sake, hopefully we see some of it. A little Darren McFadden-esque Felix Jones stuff that you referenced back in 2007.
Yeah, God, please no.
That was the vantage points during college football games are always interesting. And you're, again, recapping one of the worst days probably of your life, even though LSU went on to win the national championship.
Yeah, I lost a state championship that day.
So you had double.
Yeah, double. I was pissed. And by the way, the next morning I got broken up with.
Jeez, but that wasn't your current wife, was it? Y'all didn't get back together? Okay.
I know. I don't even remember I remember her name, but
it's for the better. So, from my vantage point,
my wife's hotter.
From my vantage point, I think I was in middle school or early high school at the time, and I hope she's listening. She could hear that. But that was one of the
me too.
That was one of the best days of my entire life. It's Friday after Thanksgiving, the old tradition that's no longer the case in the SEC between those schools. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And Tye Richardson picking off that ball in the back of the end zone.
Yep.
And Vern Lundquist saying the dream dies for LSU. And now we got the game, as you just stated earlier, as the earliest it's ever been played in September. It's never been played there before. It's wild.
Ty, we're talking about 30 years worth of playing a team every single year, and it's never been here. That's nuts. All right, Tye Richardson, ESPN Arkansas, is our guest. Ty, what's up with Rocket Sanders? You think he goes on Saturday?
I don't see him playing. I'd be honestly surprised if he plays next week against Texas A&M. This is not me bringing up inside knowledge, but Coach Pittman, and most coaches are like this, he's a little cagey on the injury. He's acting like there's a chance. In my opinion, I think that's just more coaching strategy than anything, making Brian Kelly and Matt House at least look at some Rocket Sanders tape. But I doubt he plays. I'd be very surprised if they rolled him out against this atmosphere and this defense come Saturday night. I've been wrong before. Maybe I'm wrong this Saturday.
What was his injury? What was his injury again? Swelling
of the knee. I don't know if there's been any other words or phrases that have been used to describe what he's dealing with. It's not the FIOA, but whatever they say when it comes to guarding a player's medical. I know Brian Kelly talked about it this week when he was asked about
the Stanford Act.
Whatever it's called. Right. So they don't really, again, unless the athlete wants it to get out, they don't really touch on it. And I guess Rocket doesn't want it to be released, but that's his own prerogative. That's up to him. There hasn't been a concrete answer on what he's currently dealing with, Blake.
All right, so Ty, I want to focus a little bit on KJ. So on Tuesdays, historically, we do a deep analytical deep dive on the team that LSU's playing. Do you know that the biggest surprise that I had looking at this game deeper, KJ, number one, only has 80 rushing yards on the year, 2.6 yards per carry. What am I missing there? What have I missed in that?
Well, in college, rushing yards and sack yards are combined. So when he gets sacked for how many yards a game, that subtracts from his rushing total. So that number should be higher, and it would have been higher in the National Football League. But because of that particular part of the whole adding and subtracting, it's not. And he's, as you referenced earlier, been a little banged up. At least that's what Coach Pittman said about him last game. There was a time or two where typical KJ would try and run over somebody or try and get the extra yard or whatever, right, and he elected to go out of bounds. So I think he's dealing with stuff more than he's letting on, and it's a long season. He's going to have to be Superman, Hercules, pick your favorite superhero these next 4 games, which are Baton Rouge, Jerry World against A&M, Oxford against Ole Miss, and then Tuscaloosa in Alabama. That's the toughest stretch in college football.
I agree.
This kid's got to play out of his mind these next 4 games for Arkansas, even to be in the football game, to be quite honest, Blake.
All right. So do we know what his injury is, Tanny? No. Okay.
Nothing. Pittman said yesterday that he's banged up. I think that was all really he elaborated. And he's going to be better for Saturday than he was this past Saturday is how Coach Pittman framed it.
Ty, there was a run. I think it was God forgive me, I don't remember in the game. but he breaks contain and gets to the outside, and he's one-on-one with a corner from BYU, and I'm like, I'm watching the game like, oh, shit, KJ's about to light him up. And then he goes out of bounds, and I'm like, did they tell him to run out of bounds? And I heard Sam say, we never told him to do that. Am I reading too much into that?
I think it probably goes to one of two things. One, he's more injured or more banged up than he's letting on. And two, I mean, he knows that the season's gone if he doesn't stay healthy. And 3 of the 4 seasons that he's played, he's been injured either for half or game or games in some cases. So I don't begrudge him for doing that. Now, if it's a 4th down or a huge 3rd down, that's different. But if he wants to lose a few yards in that situation, or and I say lose, like not try and get the extra yards in that situation.
I mean, they still scored the next play.
Yeah, I don't begrudge him. I don't begrudge him for doing that. He's going to be under a microscope. And the cool thing about Saturday is we get to see a contest between what we have perceived to be the best 2 quarterbacks in the SEC, and it's only 4 weeks in. We don't have to wait till the end of the season. This is at least an opportunity and a perception that these are the 2 best gunslingers that we'll see, maybe not from past, but just overall quarterbacks that we'll see all year in this conference.
How do you think this game ultimately plays out in your mind?
I have LSU winning, not covering, but winning probably anywhere from 10 to 13 points. I think Arkansas is within like 10 or 7 heading into the 4th quarter, and LSU either gets a late touchdown or a late field goal, kind of depending on when it plays out. But I think it's going to be close. Arkansas is going to come in. I want to bring this up again. LSU just clowned Mississippi State. Arkansas just lost to a BYU team they had no business losing to at home.
They're pissed.
And, yeah, they're mad. They're angry. You've got Landon Jackson, Dwight McLaughlin, who want to prove something against their old football team. Sam Pittman's going to get these guys ready to play. LSU is, while they're back at home in the toughest venue in all of college football, especially at night, I think that they're going to overlook Arkansas and look ahead to Ole Miss, especially – hear this. Now, players know things. If LSU finds out that Ole Miss beats Alabama in Tuscaloosa on Saturday, and that gets way to the LSU players at some point, I'm telling you this is going to be a closer game than people think. Now, don't mishear me. I don't think Arkansas is going to win. I wish I got to experience Death Valley for the first time and walk off as a winner. I
hope you don't. I love you to death. I sure hope you don't, man.
I've got the whole weekend planned out, starting on Thursday, what we're doing all the way up till Sunday. And I don't have an Arkansas win in there, but that sure would be crazy. But I'm telling you, I don't know how LSU doesn't overlook Arkansas based on kind of what's gone down in the last couple of days and what could happen on Saturday right before kickoff.
I agree. So I actually agree with you on that because, listen, if Ole Miss beats Alabama, I know that we have Notre Dame, Ohio State this weekend. I know that we have some marquee games, Ty, but there's not going to be a bigger win if Lane Kiffin goes in there and beats Nick because everybody and their mama are going to say Nick's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why it's funny. It's funny you say that. That's actually one of the show topics I've added for tomorrow's rundown. By the way, Blake's going to come on with us tomorrow. Appreciate him making some time for us. He's got double-digit radio due tomorrow. He's going to jump on with Bill and then with us. But, yeah, I think that Nick Saban's got a lot on the line tomorrow. This would be potentially the 4th assistant that he's ever lost to, with just a couple years ago prior to Kirby beating him in the championship. He had never lost. Or I guess I think it was Jimbo first, actually. But he had never lost to one. And then Jimbo beats him. You have Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian this year. And you just wonder, again, is that armor cracking? And it's great. The other thing is, and you mentioned kind of the West is LSU's to lose. I agree. It's still open, but it's still LSU's to lose, even though they have to go through Tuscaloosa. Think about where we are in college football this year. Georgia's not as good as we thought. Bama's not as good. I didn't think they were going to be that great, and I have been proven right to this point. But the college football playoff is not set in stone. There's still a chance that LSU can make it. Now, they'd have to go on a run and potentially maybe get in with 2 losses if they beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, if they drop one along the way. But college football is wide open right now, and I personally love the parity that's going on in 2023.
So let's stay there because I think it's such a good place to be. Look, this is Separation Saturday, Ty. Does Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman get over the hump? Can Ryan Day just be Ryan Day? I mean, what happens between Colorado and Oregon? Can Prime continue to live up? There's just so many things. And you know what else, man? Look, I know that A&M lost to Miami. Don't act like that team can't score now, because that team can score. They got dudes.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of things and a lot of parity, as you mentioned. Who do you think is the best team in college football right now, though?
It's really hard to look past Florida State or Texas based on what they've done in the first 3 weeks of the season. I mean, if you said Georgia, you might get a little bit of a weary eye from me, but I would understand if you want to say that based on how they dominated South Carolina in the second half. They don't play anyone until they really go to Knoxville this year. But, I mean, Florida State, what they were able to do against LSU, they've got an SEC defensive line. They've got, I mean, that Michigan State transfer, that 6'7" guy, they've got studs all over the field, plus the kid they brought from South Carolina, whose name I think it's Jaheim Bell, if I remember that right.
Yeah, Jaheim Bell.
Yeah, I mean, they're outstanding. Then Texas, I mean, Texas, Whittington and some of the other great playmakers they have. And I hate saying that wearing this, but it's what in front of my eyes. So probably one of those two teams. But this is a big weekend. You mentioned Notre Dame. Hartman has a chance to really, really put himself in the Heisman discussion. He's done that a little bit to this point. But you beat Ohio State at home and get Coach Freeman a win against his former team. That's really, really impressive. I mean, I think there's 6 top 25 matchups in college football this weekend. We had 0 last weekend. It's going to be a banner day for this sport, especially if an upset happens in Tuscaloosa.
Do you think it is? Do you think enough? Ty, look, I said this yesterday on my show. I put $80 in the offering plate and gave $20 to bet online. Okay. The only game that I had, Ole Miss plus 7.5.
Yeah, and Kevin said something interesting this week, talking about how I think it's Tavares Robertson, who's their cornerbacks coach. Yeah, he looks like he's coaching the defense rather than Kevin Steele. I don't know if Saban just like yanked away the calling from him after that Texas game, or if Kevin's just trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. That's his way of going about things at times. Usually not against Alabama though. But I mean, Jackson Dart's a better quarterback than Ty Simpson, Tyler Buckner, and Jalen Milroe. And while they don't have a better overall roster, Quinshon Judkins is better than Jason McClellan. You look at what Ole Miss has been defensively; they've forced some turnovers this year, so it's going to be a fun game. And I'm also picking the Rebels. And again, I want Arkansas to win on Saturday night, but if they don't, you talk about a gargantuan matchup in Oxford next weekend between Ole Miss and LSU. I mean, that right there, if Ole Miss gets by Bama, that could decide the West next week, as early as week 5.
I agree with that. And the last time that this happened, Ole Miss goes on the road to Alabama with Eli Manning, takes down Saban in 07, if I'm not mistaken. No, what am I talking about? Not 07. LSU goes on the road, and in 03, they go on the road at Alabama. Then you had the game where Eli Manning tripped in 03. LSU goes on to win a national title.
Oh, yeah.
So the last time it happened, LSU had an early loss to a Florida team. This history start repeating itself. You know, I'm superstitious, man. I wear the same underoos on game day after a win.
Well, I'm going to be honest, Blake. I picked LSU to not just win the West, but win the SEC championship. And I was a little dismayed when I saw that performance where Jane Daniels kind of disappeared in that second half, and really the defense got ran over. But, I mean, we saw them lose early last year, and they still responded, went to Atlanta. Georgia doesn't look as good as they were last year. No Stetson Bennett. So that's going to be, if they get there, I think an easier matchup than what they had to run into last year. So we'll just have to see. I mean, you got to win in Oxford. You got to win in Tuscaloosa if you're LSU. And I'm telling you, if they look past this game on Saturday night, they're going to get a much better matchup than they maybe initially anticipated, because it's really hard to not overlook a team that just lost to BYU, regardless of what Coach is saying. And you were speaking to it earlier. This rivalry means so much to Arkansas fans. You come in 92, you get paired with LSU, Basil makes the Golden Boot, and really LSU fans 30 years later don't care. Arkansas fans care mightily about this game. This was a tradition Friday after Thanksgiving. It's no longer the case. I've got 20 friends that are going, to this football game. And some of them, like myself, Death Valley for the first time. This is a weekend we look forward to every year. And sometimes it's the sole reason that Arkansas, not because they're more talented, they just want it more some years than LSU. And that helps them get over the top in some cases.
Ty, I look, as sad as this is, and me and you've talked about this off the air, it's so true. You know, LSU has been so focused on Bama when it comes to football. Everything's about Bama. Now it's starting to trend a little bit Texas because of recruiting. But now it's like, hey, man, you just got to go out there and play your game. You know, one area that – so, Ty, we do the film breakdowns on Mondays. You know what one area for Arkansas that nobody's talking about? I know LSU's O-line has been really good. Dude, they get a pass rush on that. They got some dudes on the D-line now that don't get it twisted. They got some dudes defensively.
Yeah, Landon Jackson, he was the guy that had an impact not just last game, but in the first couple of games.
Jeff Coat looks like he was built in a lab, dude.
Yeah, Trajan Tree, his nickname. He's going to have an impact on Saturday.
His nickname's Tree?
Yeah, his nickname's Tree. Landon went to the same high school as one of my friends, Pleasant Grove in Texarkana. It's got a couple really good football players. It's a football factory down there. But, no, you're right. I mean, Arkansas, last year you saw what they did defensively. And that defensive line, I would say, is not as good as this year's. They just had Drew Sanders and a couple other guys to supplement that.
Right.
You missed Jordan Dominic. You would have liked to have him even on this roster. But they got some dudes. And if they force LSU into passing situations, they've just got to contain Jane Daniels. That's a lot easier said than done. This is one of the most dynamic players in all of college football. Like KJ, he can hurt you. Now, the interesting thing about this game is the last 3 years, it's been decided by 3 points. LSU wins 3 years ago in Fayetteville. Arkansas botches a missed field goal at the end. Arkansas hits a game winner in overtime last year, and then the end of last season, you have Harold Perkins again single-handedly winning that football game. And even with LSU coming off that win against Bama, they looked atrocious against Arkansas offensively. So I think this will be a little more high-scoring affair. I don't know if I'm going to say 40-40 something, but I could see it getting in the 20s, maybe in the 30s if KJ and Jaden are clicking on both sides.
Score prediction before I get you out of here?
I'm going to say LSU 27, Arkansas 17.
Okay.
And again, I think it's like 24-17 heading in the fourth, and maybe LSU adds a field goal. I'm kind of setting myself up for that. Like a lot of times I'll convince myself that Arkansas is going to win a football game or a basketball game, depending on where I'm going. I don't know if I can get there yet. I will say, Blake, I've set the whole schedule. Phil's Thursday night, Superior Grill for drinks. Friday night golfing at Santa Maria Golf Course. Then we are audibling. We're no longer going to Rufino's because my buddies checked the menu and they thought it was too expensive.
Boo!
I know. That's what I'm saying. Rufino.
You just had a call, dude. Like,
I know.
Just had a call.
I know.
Where are you going? Supper Club?
We're going to some place by Ivar's. I think it's Perrian's.
Oh, yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Pyran's. By the way, Pyran's, it is the best Louisiana food you're going to get in BR.
Okay, so Pyran's. Then
get the flounder. Get the crawfish flounder. You're welcome. I'll pay for you to do it.
Okay,
if you get that, I'll pay for it.
All right, crawfish flounder, and then we'll go to Ivar's. I'll drink until I wake up the next morning, and because I don't have to do a pregame show till 1. So this isn't a 11 o'clock game where I have a pregame show at 6 a.m. And also, you and me are going to go to Hot Tails for beer post-golf on Friday. So we got a full weekend ahead, and I got to do the post-game after. So I'll go to Fred's after the post-game and experience that once again. I feel like that's a very condensed weekend that we have in front of us, Blake.
You got a good lineup. Now, the only thing that I would say, be questioned when you start going downtown and drinking. That's all I'm going to say. Not from you, but I'm just saying in general. Baton Rouge is a scary mother, man. It can take hold of you now.
Well, I'm legitimately the Superior Grill is kind of out. My buddy lives in the suburbs. The one down, I think it's the Highlands area. And then, I've been to Ivar's 2 or 3 times. I love that place. It's one of the best college bars in the country. It's not even a college bar. Everyone congregates to it. And then Fred's, mean, you don't want to go to Fred's on Thursday as a 28-year-old because it's all 18 and 19-year-olds. But on Saturday, it's more inclusive to a bunch of different ages. And I'll probably end up falling in love with a nice Cajun brunette that says "Go Tigers" and Tiger Bait, but she likes my hog hat. And you know what they say about Arkansas, man. Our food's great here in the South. Our women are hotter and our hogs are bigger, Blake. So I feel like that's a decent line to use on a beautiful Cajun woman Saturday night.
Well, I mean,
Friday night.
Dude, I'm just telling you, bro. Like,
look at that.
They're brunettes. They put it on you, man. Them Cajun women down here put it on you, dude.
I've never understood. Now, again, this hair's blonde. You mentioned Isaac Tesla, but I've always been like,
okay. Hold on, can we talk about him? Is that Elon's son? That's your little brother. Y'all look exactly alike.
Yeah, he's a little more in shape, and he's also 6'4", so I think he's probably done a little better with the ladies in Fayetteville than I ever did. But yeah, I appreciate the compliment. He's got good hair, and he's hopefully getting an impact on Saturday night. We'll have to wait and see. You will be like, I just want to tell you up front, he's not going to blow you away with the speed, or he's not going to be able to like jump and jump over the field goal post or anything. But his hands are some of the best you ever seen. There will be cornerbacks that are draped all over him Saturday night, and he'll somehow come out with the catch, and LSU fans will be scratching their heads going, how do you do that? And just know that if you were listening to Are You Serious Sports, Tye Richardson warned you that this kid's going to make a play or two that you're just flabbergasted by.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us, Ty.
You got it, buddy. See ya Friday at Old Hot Tails. Can't wait to have a big old goblet of beer.
That place is awesome. That place is really good. Secretly good place. All right, Tye Richardson, ESPN Arkansas. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you in the morning.
Hey, talk to you at 7:20, my guy.
All right, we'll talk soon. That's Tye Richardson, always the best, man. I love that dude. I freaking love that dude. He's so freaking good at his job, man. Was listening to him on Monday, and my man just he tells it like it is. He tells it like it is. Let's talk about our good friends, though. We need to take a quick break. We'll go around your SEC. Let's talk about our good friend Steve Bean over at Bayou Daiquiris and Bayou Bowl to Go. Speaking of another Cajun place you've got to get to in Covington, go see them. And our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Don't go anywhere. We're back next. Bayou Daiquiris at Bayou Bowl and Go is owned and operated locally by Steve and Lisa Bean. You can find them at 1512 North Highway 190 in Covington, Louisiana. That's 1512 North Highway 190 in Covington. The North Shore's first crawfish drive-thru is about to step it up another notch by bringing you drive-thru daiquiris as well. You can call in your order today at 985-888-1914, 985-888-1914, because you know what? Daiquiris and crawfish, it's a Louisiana thing. By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. We got some breaking news here. As we had predicted on the AYS forum, AYSSnetwork.com. That's AYSSnetwork.com/forum. About 3-4 o'clock-ish today, we had predicted a hashtag Ben Picks that left-handed pitcher, God dog it. Why is this not doing? I have it written down right here. Why is this doing it to me at the most important time of my life? Connor Ware, the number one JUCO pitcher in the country, a lefty, throws about 95, 96 miles an hour, has a dirty, dirty, dirty slider that even – no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I should say it, but it's dirtier than a $5 hooker, okay? Has committed to LSU. So big pickup for Jay Johnson. That's what the tiger emojis were about. He sent out a couple of tiger emojis. So the number one pitcher in JUCO from Pearl River, Connor Ware, has committed to LSU. My brother's in the house. Says, love you, my brother. Super proud of all the work you do to provide all of us LSU football maniacs. Thank you, my man. Thank you. My brother, Brett, hold on. Before you go somewhere, Brett, they had people accusing me last night that you did not go to the roulette table and start whipping that ass in Shreveport. They don't believe me. I showed them the picture. They didn't believe me. Oh, well. All right, let's go around your SEC very quickly because we got to get out of here in just a few seconds. See, I told you. I whipped that ass, he says. He uses that because the Saints are 2-0. And because we both were born in Amite, Louisiana, we don't know how to spell. Let's go around your SEC really quickly. So listen, I do agree with Tye Richardson on this. I'm taking Ole Miss, man. We talked about this last night. I'm going to expound on it before we get out of here. I just don't know and don't think. Now, look, Alabama is Alabama, and Nick Saban can surprise all of us. If Alabama were to beat Ole Miss on Saturday, would be the least shocking thing to me. Very just like par for the course that Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss can't go into Tuscaloosa and close the deal and beat Alabama. But I just don't know. The number one scoring offense in the country, the Ole Miss Rebels going to Tuscaloosa. I think they go in there and get a W, man. I think they go in there and get a W. I don't know if Jalen Milroe can generate enough offense to give them enough points to beat them. I really, really don't. I know that Alabama had a players-only meeting, yada, yada, yada. But if you think that Lane Kiffin has not watched that Texas game 682,000 times, you're kidding yourself. They're going to get wide receivers out in space. They're going to throw some bubble screens. They're going to get Junkins up the middle. And I do think that the Rebs come out with this dub. If they don't, would not shock me. Got the +7. Hope it's a close game. But give me Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. I do think Jackson Dart goes in there, gets probably 275 in the air, 3 tutties, maybe a pick, gets maybe 46 rushing yards because he gets sacked twice. I think the Rebs are going to go in there and get it done. I've seen a lot of people say this week to me that Auburn is going to take down A&M. What Auburn team are you watching? Peyton Thorne is an interception machine right now. I'm not so sure that they don't need to go into Robbie Ashford and say, hey, man, we need you to play a little bit more. I know you hate A&M. I know people think that Jim, and I do too, and people think Jimbo's a hack. I do too. Offensively, they're pretty good. And in another scenario, I think Hugh Freeze gets his first loss at Auburn. I have no idea, based off of what we've seen from these two teams, why you even think that Auburn and a Peyton Thorne-led Auburn can beat A&M and score and keep up with Connor Weigman. So outside of LSU-Arkansas, the two biggest games here, give me A&M, man. Give me A&M. I see Daniel Chambers says Bama drags Ole Miss. They're not dragging Ole Miss, dude. Guys, think about this. South Florida was 4-29 in their last 33 games. Let me say that again. South Florida is 4-29 in their last 33 games. And you're expecting me to pick Alabama? No. Brandon Graziano, even with the way that they struggle with Tulane, yeah. Because you know what they don't have? A struggle against South Florida. Well, Blake, Jalen Milroe wasn't in that game. Okay, but they couldn't run the football in South Florida. Alabama could not run the football on South Florida. And you want me to believe that you think that Pete Golding and Lane Kiffin are not going to just outright throw everything at Saban? You're crazy. Man, both teams got to deal with the weather. Andrew, the weather ain't had nothing to affect. Jesus, Armageddon can be coming down. Alabama has no business. Think about what you're saying. Alabama has no business winning that game by 14 points. Zero. Guys, we're talking about one of the worst teams in the country putting up a massive fight against Bama, dude. I ain't doing it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Carter Bryant joins us. Peace.